All right, excellent. Well, thank you everyone for coming on short notice for some of you here. I'm glad you can make it and hopefully have a fun time here. For those of you who I'm not familiar with, uh, so I've just only started channeling a Sassani being named Ajax earlier this year. So I take a few minutes to get into the state. I'm super impressed with Mr. Chuck's abilities over there to just pop in and out. But for me, just give me a minute or two to get there, and he'll start talking when he's ready. So I'll see you guys afterwards. Greetings, salutations, and merry holidays to you all. We are so pleased that we can be here to co-create with you in this experience. We would like to say a few things before we begin this evening. First of all, as we have delivered in previous transmissions, you are beginning to see more of the cracks in the common consensus. There are those who are having experiences different from your own. And we don't just mean this in the typical human experience that you may quickly associate in your minds. We are speaking from the nature of events, which for you simply have not transpired, yet for others have definitely done so. As we are approaching this holiday season, we ask you all to have compassion for yourselves, for others, and you have seen recently an experience, an opportunity to practice that compassion. For, as you know, it is all a reflection, a projection. And so when you are compassionate to others, you are really compassionate ultimately to yourself and the all that is. This particular day, 12/12, is something of a special symbolism for us. 12/12, as some of you may have picked up on, in the permission slip of numerology is 1 added together, 1, 2 plus 1, 2, 3, 3. And we have a thing for threes. If you have 12/12 and in the shorthand 24, you have 3, 3, 6. And when added together, 1, 4, 5, speaking back, we have had an error in our transmission. In the longhand, 2024, 3, 3, 8, 1, 4, which is symbolic of humanity's birth into this time period. This particular date, as we were alluding to earlier, is symbolic and special to us because it is something of a birthday for ourselves. While we do not ultimately align with the calendar that you experience, the 12/12, the 3/3, is like a birthday for us. And the birthday of today, as if humanity is giving birth to a new phase of itself. Unlike many men in the audience, women know greatly the pains of labor, of giving birth to new beings. Just because you are going through this process and giving birth to new yous, many of you will think, well, I must experience great pains, great suffering, great labor to get through this process. But it is simply untrue. If you hold that belief to be true for yourself, then yes, absolutely. But it is not a ultimate truth that must be experienced. Your belief systems will guide you and shape the experience that you have. If you do not want to experience suffering, do not view the transformational process as suffering. So we ask that as you move forward on this day, move forward in this new energy coming forth, that you question, who am I giving birth to in these new moments? What person am I becoming? That is the relevant question. We will pause here and see if there are any questions in the audience. Billy?
Hello,
Good.
Ajax.
And
How
how
are
are you?
you? Can you hear me?
Yes. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Perfect, as always.
Yes,
What would you
I'm
like to
good.
discuss?
Good. I'm good as always. Thanks for asking. I learned that from one of your kind, the one we refer to as Bishar. Do you know of him?
Yes, we are familiar.
Perfect. And do you know of the one we refer to as Rohaan?
We do. And
Great,
Ryoka and others.
great. I would like to talk about the one that we refer to as Rohan.
Yes.
Uh, what is
We will see
Rohan?
what is relevant that we can discuss. Some things, depending on the questions, may not be relevant and we will be unable to answer them because it is not our place to do so. But please proceed.
Thank you. So, what time frame compared to you and Bishar does Rohan exist in?
Well, time for our race, as you might call it, is somewhat wibbly wobbly, as you might get the impression. We have previously delivered in a prior transmission that we exist in a juxtaposed reality that is similar to Bashar, and in linear time, mostly before, but slightly overlapping when he is. Rohan, Ryoka are further on in what you think of as the linear future. Conveniently, you might consider names and the letters used. Ajax, Bashar, Rohaan, Ryoka, linearly progressing in time.
Okay, fantastic. So I would like to interact more and understand that one that we refer to as Rohan. We've had some interesting interactions with others and him, but we're left a bit confused with some things that have happened. How would I be able to interact with that being?
We are slightly perplexed by your question and somewhat amused. Why not simply go speak with him? He does provide a forum for doing so, does he not?
Um, for example, I have interacted with the one we refer to as Bishar, and telepathically, I can feel for him. It is my first time knowingly interacting with you, Ajax. Thank you. But
Yes.
the one that we call Rohan, I would like another channel to interact with aside from his current channel.
Are you familiar with the Sassani calling card or the Eshikani calling card?
A black triangle with a blue background.
Yes. Does this permission slip not work for you?
It has not worked specific to this individual, no.
Well, what do you feel called to experiment with, play with, in your attempts to communicate with this being?
Well, part of it has been whether this being actually exists and that this being is actually of the Sassani because of some of the behaviors that allegedly are linked to this being. So that has made it a bit interesting for me to connect.
Well, first of all, consider that all realities exist. And if that statement is true, how could this being not exist as a society? Do you believe that all realities exist?
Yes.
Then we ask again our question: how could this being not exist? Perhaps you are tapping into a particular challenge in your communication with this entity for a specific purpose. What have you started to pick up on in your difficulty in reaching out?
My difficulty is, well, was whether the person who channeled that being is actually telling the truth, that that being is exists, one, and two is of the Sassani.
Yes, but as we just stated, surely in some reality it is true. So what is your hang up on whether or not you are seeing a reflection that reflects that for you? What is your truth?
My truth is that being that we refer to as Rohan has not acted in the way we have come to know the Sassani to act, allegedly.
And what does this bring up in you from a feeling perspective?
That I need to investigate and get to know Rohan better to understand why this is happening.
Yes, but we mean what emotions are stirred when you consider that there may be some inauthenticity in this interaction?
Um, as a first contact specialist myself, I feel a sense of confusion, um, betrayal, um, irritation, maybe slightly anger that another first contact specialist may have done this.
I see. So you are co-fusing two ideas that you do not feel belong together. One, that this being exists in the form that they are presenting, and two, that your experience suggests they do not, and you are having difficulty with this.
Yes, how can is the sun exist and do those things allegedly? It doesn't. Yes, that's my co-fusion. Thank you.
Yes. Well, you are aware that there are many individuals in the Sassani race, and they do not all have the same expression. Yes, they are generally, although using absolutes and generalities is difficult and a little constraining here, but higher vibration, hopeful, authentic, full of integrity, full of a strong desire to follow their excitements and show others how to do the same. It seems to us that your interactions with the being that you are experiencing, and we will point again to our earlier topic, which we gave at the introduction. Not everyone is experiencing the same events. The version that you are experiencing is tied to this co-fusion that you are making with these different belief systems, and which truth you are ultimately going to accept for yourself. If you need to go through a process of shaking loose some of these more negative emotions, these more negative opinions that no longer serve you, perhaps that being is expressing themselves in a way to allow you to do so. Ultimately, it does not really matter to you, we might suggest, if this being is who they say they are or not, if it allows you to go through this process of becoming more of who you wish to be.
I think it does because it adds to the whole question of who the Sassani are, because as much as you are all individuals, and I love that, you have your code of conduct. And what this being is said to have done, from my perspective, goes against that.
Yes, well, we would simply point to our earlier suggestion that you look to what it is bringing up in you because there is something there that you're not quite ready to let go of. Why does any one particular individual of any species need to follow these certain rules that you are adamantly placing upon them in terms of how they should express themselves? Keep in mind also that there is a element of trickster energy at play in some of the Sassani interactions that you may or may not have had.
Okay, I don't know what to do with trickster energy then.
The same thing that we suggested earlier. Truly analyze what it brings up in your feelings. In a previous transmission, we alluded to how you can use your emotional states as a sort of guidance system to see how in alignment you are with your true vibrational core, your true frequency.
All right.
If it is
So,
bringing things that are not preferred, consider that. Why? What belief must I be holding that would bring up this misalignment in me?
so the interactions with that being that are out of alignment are similar to the challenges that we on our planet are facing at the moment. So I found it very interesting for that to then be linked to an off-worlder in the same way. And that brought up in me a need to take action to understand what had happened and to ensure that that does not happen in our society anymore.
Okay. If that is what you prefer, then by all means, please do so.
So was that his purpose of doing that?
We will not give you this particular answer. You are still going through a sort of process regarding this, and it would not serve you for us to tell you what the intentions are behind this particular being.
So beyond the black triangle with the blue background, is there a symbol specific to Rohaan that I may link up with to ensure I am connected to him?
You might try adding elements of purple to the symbol around the edges. This
Beyond,
around the edges of the black triangle highlighted in blue, you might add additional layers of purple hue around it. This is all we will say on this topic. And this,
thank you.
yes,
Thank you, Ajax. This has been fun. Thank you.
you are most welcome.
Thanks.
Hi, Jax. I was wondering if you could expand a little bit on what Bashar has discussed many times, which is the space-time fractal antenna. I attended a nice Zoom session about that today with someone who is very passionate about that. And I know there are details that cannot be given because they're not just going to spill the beans, as Bashar said. That's something we need to progress through. But can you give us any information on that, please?
What information are you seeking other than what has already been delivered? The two copper coils should be connected at both ends, and the device built to specification.
I have no idea what questions to ask because one, I'm not an engineer, and two, I'm just absorbing whatever I heard today. So,
All right.
I don't know if you could provide information about materials that might enhance it or certain energy requirements, maybe.
That information has already been delivered through another source. The material of copper is sufficient. The dimensions given were precise in their delivery. We would add only a single element here, which is to find a different means of power source used to jumpstart the system. Some of the ones that have already been attempted were not correct for the usage. But other than that, this is all we will say on the topic.
Hey, thank you very much for that little tidbit. Appreciate it.
You are most welcome.
Janet?
Thank you. Hello, Ajax.
Hello, and good day to you.
Good day to you. I'm thoroughly enjoying your energy again.
Oh, good. We are happy to be here.
Wonderful. I have a lot of questions, but I'll try to contain my excitement.
Oh no, please do not. We are
Um,
honoring
I was at the same meeting today with Ray, and what came up a lot came up for me when I was in Amritsar. So you know the copper intersecting cone spirals. That was the exact shape that I saw when I went to Amritsar. And so like in my mind's eye, I saw the double vortex at Amritsar, and it was that same double intersecting shape. How I'm not sure what my question is, but I find it interesting that the copper shape is the same as the energy vortex shape.
Double toroidal fields.
So, what do they do? What do double toroidal fields do?
Allow energy transfer, allow frequency imprinting, frequency resonance and establishment. The channel's ability to talk on this topic at a engineering level is limited, so we will do the best we can.
Fair enough. The listener's ability to understand engineering terms is limited as well. So we are a match.
The toroidal fields allow for transfer of energy and establishment of a certain frequency, tapping into the 0 point field that draws this energy continuously and perpetuates it. It uses aspects of sacral geometry to perpetuate the process.
So it dawned on me that maybe the double vortex at Amritsar, there's multiple of those on planet Earth, right?
Absolutely.
And do those double vortexes sort of like lock down the concept of space and time
To some extent, yes.
so that we can experience the sensations of space and time?
Well, let us put it this way. It is something of a permission slip for doing so. They are a very strong permission slip for many people of that nature, yes.
Gotcha. And would, for example, the pyramids at Giza, people um, have the idea that they were some sort of like energy generators? Would that be like the bottom cone of the double toroidal field? Is that how that worked? Is that how it generated energy?
It's somewhat analogous, yes, though not quite correct.
Okay.
Some of the energy generation in the pyramids and the reality that we are currently perceiving that is most relevant to you is that the energy and generation was more of a byproduct of the entire process. And as the knowledge for how the pyramid's true usage was lost over time, the practicality of those who had access to it shifted over to the energy generation.
So what was the original purpose?
Many things: ascension, contact, exploration, consciousness expansion. Should we build a list?
I think the list would be the same as what we're doing today.
Yes. Well, we will say for now that there were many purposes because it was a highly capable system.
Yeah.
And you are starting to rediscover more of the original capabilities in your world.
Wonderful. I feel like when I saw that the double vortex in Amritsar, it sort of opened up something new in me to experience more.
Absolutely. It was another permission slip for you.
Yeah, that was great. And then the next thing I'd like to talk about is to continue a bit of the conversation about Rohaan. I was spending a lot of time with Rohaan, and I was introduced to a being named Cheyenne. Are you aware of that being?
Yes, we may not discuss this topic, however.
Any of it?
Correct.
Well, I will make a statement.
It is not appropriate for us to deliver through information through this channel.
Okay. How can I get accurate information on Cheyenne?
Well, you are familiar with the general formula delivered by the Sassani Society. Yes,
Act upon my highest excitement.
absolutely. Use your imagination to come up with different ways that you can pursue this topic. Your imagination is like peering into different parallel realities and is part of the mechanism of manifestation. Even if you do not exactly manifest that reality which you are wishing to, which you are perceiving, you are tapping into the energy of that reality and will bring about something very similar. Your excitement will bring to light, alert you when you are getting close to the information.
Thank you.
One final question on this. How much of the information that I was given regarding specifically Cheyenne and our relationship, like how much of that is accurate?
We will not discuss on this topic further.
I got a finger wag. I'll stop. Ajax, you're wonderful, and I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
It was a wonderful experience to be able to interact with you. You are most welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ajax, on our timeline, is it possible for someone to be a grandparent of a hybrid child? I know that all time exists in the now, but the lineage is still there in some form, correct?
Yes, absolutely. And several of you are. Keep in mind the wibbly wobbliness of time that we were speaking of earlier also applies in some extent to the hybrid children as a species. Their experience of the elapsing of time is not quite the same as yours. So you can easily have situations where even if you provided genetic material, energetic material to co-create a hybrid child, it does not mean that the time since that point will exactly align with the age of that particular being. Some of the hybrid children have their own children as well. Others have only been recently come into being, even though that occurred many, many, many years ago from your perspective.
Excellent. That's a lot more information than I had before. Thank you. Luis?
You are most welcome.
Hi, Ajax.
Hello, and good
Hey,
night.
hi. Lots of questions have come through the course of the transmission, but I am going to hone in on just one word that I heard, tricksters and tricksters energies. And
Oh,
it be,
how devious of them.
that's right. That's where I was going. You know, you're reading my mind. And how that is affecting a lot of us. So I see it as real purpose is to try for us to hone in into the true nature of our essence, so we
Yes,
can know
and
kind of the truth. Yeah. But where I'm having a problem with understanding is how I see those kind of trickster energies play with people that are, from our perspective, not of their full faculties, creating a lot of confusion that one would say they are at first level, at least, not able to get out of with any degree of simplicity.
Well, we would interject here and say that our perspective on this is somewhat different than your own. First of all, the trickster energy, what does this really do, you might ask? Tricksters exist and act as they do to help shake loose some of the more rigid belief systems, perspectives, opinions that you might have. Sometimes the only way of getting you to consider other alternatives is to provide some of this trickster energy to jar you out of a situation, to get you to see things from that new light. And they are very effective in doing this. When you speak of those who are not of their faculties, one of the things that we might add into this is that those who you might consider to be somewhat not quite there, a little insane from your perspective, are quite sane. It is just that their consensus reality experience is far different from your own. And in some cases, these beings are, as a second-hand action, providing the trickster energy to you, not tricksters acting upon these people.
Okay, I get that that part that you just said there. I'm still kind of looking at the characters in my life that suffer from these things, that
Why do
seemingly
you feel that they suffer?
okay. I'm just that's what they're telling me. Okay, that's supposed to be in my judgment.
In some cases, yes, but not in all. Sometimes that is a attribution that you are giving.
I'd say okay. I will look at
Especially
it from
those
that.
who are more deranged. They are
Sure,
actually having quite a blast.
I'd say. Thank you. Thank you, Ajax.
You are welcome. Is there a further question that you had?
Well, I have tons of questions, but I don't know that we have the time. If you allow me, I would ask a question about timelines. And my feeling is that most of us are shifting timelines daily without us knowing. The majority of them are infinitely close to the one that we're in. Uh, how many can we deal with? The concept of infinity is there, of course, but that it phantoms capacity of the human vehicle, I think, to go through that. So I think that we kind of hone in on some uh,
Absolutely.
at,
You
at the
place your
subconscious
focus
level. Yeah, right.
on one
So
particular timeline at a time, but you have the capacity to deal infinitely with timelines as a multidimensional being. You are holding your focus on one timeline to another, even though this can change from nanosecond to nanosecond as you wish, as your greater being wishes. So you have the capacity to deal with them all. But yes, you do hold, generally speaking, one timeline in focus for any given now.
I'm getting this feeling that I can recognize that I'm somewhat in a different timeline by the sheer feel of uh, the general energetic space that surrounds the physical activities that I'm engaged in. that I can't really separate them that much in terms of the actual events that are happening, but the feel that I get is unique to each timeline.
Absolutely. It is as if you are sampling the energetic frequency of those individual timelines, situations, experiences, and discerning for yourself where you feel you would prefer to be, what tastes quite right.
Yes, yes, yes. That's the feeling that I'm getting. It's almost like I've been given a taste of the innermost collection of feelings that I would have in that particular timeline without events showing me all the details. Just
Absolutely.
feeling.
Well, have at your generous buffet
Thank you.
of experiences.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You are most welcome.
Hi there, my name is Irene. How are you?
And good day to you.
I have a question. I have recently learned that I have a prime connection with Tau Ceti. Could you share with me some information on Tau Ceti and the civilization there?
Perhaps we will first ask you a little bit about your connection. How has this information changed your experience from day to day? How have you, in other words, incorporated this knowledge into being more of that person that you are giving birth to?
Well, I just found out about it, and I was just given the calling card to communicate with them. So it is a brand new experience. But there's very little information on that civilization. And so I would just like to know a little bit more about them.
Yes, well, we can deliver some limited information in this now. That particular civilization is one that has added, in some ways, genetic material to humans over time. They have been having a mostly hands-off policy in terms of oversight, assistance with the development of humanity, even though they did provide this particular gift. Their culture is very, very in tune with nature, particularly boreal forests and other areas with many flora, which you might describe as trees. They are somewhat scientific in their development of musical progression as a technology. This is all we will say for now.
What does that mean? Musical progression is a technology?
They can, much like earlier on the Earth, where sounds and vocalizations were used to have impacts, such as moving stones via the voice, they have the ability to elicit certain effects in their world using melody. They can, as a rough analogy, for example, derive specific formula by having a chorus, having a song together to arrive at certain outcomes, certain scientific understandings. Just as you might research a topic, they can play a symphony and reach the same understanding.
So now that you have just said that, it's triggered something. When I go to sleep at night, there's no sound, but I can hear a chorus. And it sounds like songs, and it sounds like a chorus of something. And yet there's nothing. And yet I can always hear this weird chorus. I used to think it was the bed and the blanket, the heated blanket, maybe the electricity coming through there or something else, but there's an unmistakable sort of chorus. Is it connected to what you just said?
Oh, how synchronous of you to bring this information to light. Perhaps your star family connections are looking for you to add your specific melody to theirs and are waiting for you to start playing on key.
I like that. Sounds nice. Well, tonight when I hear the chorus and feel like I need to go through the walls and the ceiling trying to find where it's coming from, I will add to it. Thank you.
Excellent. You are most welcome.
Thank you very much.
Zoe?
I'm still awake, don't worry. And thank you so much for letting me ask another question. Ajax, I am really interested in connecting with my Sassani counterpart. Can you tell me a bit more to make it a more tangible connection, or if the Sassani is too far away, then another being of the Yayal or Pleiadians who might be closer in
Well,
vibration?
as we have mentioned to an earlier questioner, you are familiar with the Sassani formula, yes?
Yes, yes.
Use your imagination also to help develop this connection.
So it's on me now to develop any interactions with the Yayal, Pleiadians, or Sassani.
Absolutely. First contact starts with you.
Yeah, it
There
does.
is something that we are observing, however, that we would like to ask you about, if that is okay.
Oh, that is excellent. Please ask away.
Why do you wish to connect specifically with a Sassani being?
Because out of the more than 550 plus civilizations that I know of, Sassani is one of them, and you sound like fun guys to hang out with.
Oh, gee, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, there are many civilizations out here which you might find just as fun. Keep in mind that particular insistence on a specific outcome may actually be a barrier to you achieving that. So just be open if a Sassani connection is something that's on the road, so to speak, if not the first stop.
Yes, I believe it is. Okay, to answer your question, I'm just looking for a more tangible connection with beings from quote unquote elsewhere than I have now. So I'm not too fussed about which one it could be from any civilization.
Oh, good. Then, as we stated earlier, continue to use your imagination to embody that person that you are giving birth to, who will have that contact, and you will become that person.
Oh, thank you, Ajax.
You are most welcome.
Ajax, I don't have anybody else lined up for a question, but if you could tell us what is Gaia going or evolving into, besides further versions of Gaia, can you provide some details maybe?
Sure. Well, Gaia is on several levels of consciousness that you understand. For some, Gaia is home. For others, Gaia is a maternal figure, a protector also, a place of sustenance and warmth. For others, Gaia exists more in the archangel realm as its own being, its own guidance. All levels of Gaia are ascending, just as you are. So this question will become fairly nuanced depending on which level you are specifically referring to. However, it is sufficient to say that as you ascend, Gaia ascends, as it is a projection, a reflection.
Great. Thank you for that. I think we're wrapping up, Christian. Or an Ajax, sorry.
No problem. Oh. Well, this is an excellent moment for us to conclude the transmission. This will be the last transmission that we give to the forum in the year of 2024. We would bid you all have a merry holiday season, and as the coming events of your next year unfold, just like a child opening presents on a Christmas morning, have delight, revel in the experiences that you come across, and follow your joy with these gifts. For the present is the ultimate gift that you give to yourself. We are in service to you and bid you good day. Avail.
Avail. Thank you, Ajax.
Thank you.
Aveo.
Hello.
Hey, Christian, still a bit fuzzy there, huh?
Yeah, it always takes me a little bit to come back.
Really? Yeah.
That was amazing. You were amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
am-
was
you
really
much.
like I said, I just started channeling this year, so there are some parts that I'm not quite as smooth on. So my apologies for any
Could
You're
have pulled
doing,
that.
It
there where I
was
started.
perfect.
you're
It was
doing so
perfect.
well, Christian. You're doing so well.
Thank you so
Do
much.
you remember I asked a question and he gave me a finger wag? He's like, mm-mm. I was like,
Yeah,
okay.
for those of you who aren't familiar, so I guess I would describe myself as a semi-conscious channel. So for me, it's like you're standing in the room with someone when they're having a conversation. So for the most part, I remember a good deal of it. I don't remember every single thing that was said, but generally, if there are any like hand waving motions or like really strong points, I definitely remember those coming out of it. So yeah, I remember.
I had a feeling that's why I brought it up. I was like, I bet Kristen remembers.
It's like pushing boundaries, Janet. Come on.
It was a genuine, honest question. There was nothing, it was an honest question. I just was like, okay, we're not going there.
Absolutely, and please ask whatever you want. I
Yeah.
mean, Ajax will
He'll tell you.
he'll tell you no if you're running into something.
He's not susceptible to arm twisting.
Yeah, holds the line really well.
Yeah.
No arms to
it's kind of
twist.
fun though.
Well,
Mm,
thank you
How
all
did you?
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now
Thank
we'll
you.
jump on to Luis's
Yeah.
Zoom meeting and we can continue this. And Christian,
Many blessings to all that I won't see until next year, perhaps. And Christian, to you and your little ones. Have a
Bye.
and thanks again to
Thanks,
Leslie for
Christian.
corralling little ones so we can have this joyous occasion. Wonderful.
So it
Bye,
be.
everybody.
Zile, did you have a question?
No, I just wanted to thank
Oh.
Christian and hear his story of how he connected to Ajax, but
Sure. So, I mean, I guess just to give you like a really brief synopsis here. So, I didn't know anything about channeling until the year 2023 when I came across I guess Theo
Tio, yeah, Tio.
Yeah, it's Sheila Gillette.
Yes,
So I
Tio.
saw her channeling one time, and that led me down a path of checking out other channelers and seeing, and then I came across Bashar, and Bashar was such a impactful, life-changing information for me that I just really resonated with it, right? And just loved all the material. And in 2024, I encountered Zariah, which formed this group where we're all meeting. And towards the summertime of 2024, Zariah told me, you're a channel. So I was like, well, that's cool. I want to start channeling then. So, I started picking up some books and watching videos about how people learned, and synchronistically all this information started flowing to me about like, hey, here's how you start doing this. And I got like stuff from Sarah Landon and got, oh man, all sorts of places. And so I started channeling Ajax. I think it was September. I would just practice every other night with my wife, and sometimes nothing would come through, and be like, okay, well, let's call that a day. And Ajax just popped in one evening. I was like, hey.
He was ready from the start.
We've had a few other visitations that Ajax has helped to connect us with, but Ajax is the only one that's consistently been coming in for me. So that's my story so far.
So how did you practice? I'm so interested in
Yeah,
either
so
channeling or
I did three things. I did automatic writing. I did self-recordings where I would just, find a good place to meditate, and I would just take a voice recorder and try speaking into that. And that one for me wasn't actually too impactful. I'd only get like a minute or two of channeled information from that. The automatic writing would flow a little bit smoother, but I'd get like a couple paragraphs. But when I started vocal channeling with my wife, like it just really drew the information through, and that's where it's really picked up for me. So just constantly doing that practice over the summer of this past year is what's led me to this point so far.
So your wife was the question asker, and then because she asked the question, you channeled it?
Correct. Yep.
And the voice recording one, I'm not familiar with that one.
It's just taking like a voice recorder and going and meditating somewhere and seeing if anything comes through vocally. That's all. Nothing special on the apps or anything, just like the voice recorder on your phone.
Okay, so it's just to see if in the middle of your meditation, unbeknownst to you, you say something.
Yeah, so that actually happened to me. So I was meditating and I started getting all these thoughts, and I just felt moved to speak them, and they were just very like loving thoughts, and that's how I practiced for a little bit, but it wasn't really super strong for me, but it kind of helped open up the book a little bit, I guess. So that's something that kind of worked for me, but mostly it's been the vocal with another person piece.
We really won't kill you.
Thank you very much. Alrighty, everybody, I've got to sign off and help take care of the kiddos. So
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye
Take care
now.
of the kiddos. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye,
Good
bye,
night,
bye.
Chris.
Bye.